We are 2 days away from Election Day, and you still have several options in order to have your voices heard. And joining me today is Jamil Favors from the Democratic Party of Georgia. He's going to talk about those options. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you so much for asking. And given the busy time of the season and uncertainty of mail, how can voters ensure their absentee ballots will be received and counted by the deadline?
Well, thank you so much for the question. First off, we want to thank all voters for wanting to make sure that their voices are heard. Well, at this point, we're in the fourth quarter, and we're definitely trying to get this thing across the finish line. If voters have requested and already received an absentee ballot, they should return it to a ballot drop box in the county in which they're registered. I definitely want to make sure that I emphasize that the county in which they're registered, not necessarily the county in which they are in right now, because we know times are very different. Individuals may be, temporarily living with family members and things of that nature. So if you do have that absentee ballot, we want you to go to gaballotdropbox.org to find the nearest drop box in the county in which you are registered. And that's gaballotdropbox.org. Now, what's really important and really lastly key is that absentee ballot must be received by your county by January 5th at 7 p.m. So please, if you have that absentee ballot, go ahead and fill it out, sign it, put it in the envelope, and drop that off before Tuesday at 7 p.m.
And what if someone requested and already received an absentee ballot, but they're not able to make it to the ballot box? What options do they have?
Right at this point, unfortunately, their options are limited. If a voter has requested and already received an absentee ballot, but are unable to make it to the ballot drop box in their county, they should go ahead and either put it in the mail tomorrow and send it next day, priority mail, because I want to definitely make sure I reiterate that your ballot must be received by 7 p.m. on January 5th, election day, must be received by your county. And at this point, if you are unable to make it and put it in the mail by next day priority, we're asking that you go ahead and make a plan to vote on election day.
Sounds good to me. So briefly tell us what voters will need to cast the ballots if they decide to go to the polls on Tuesday.
Okay, if you go to the polls on Tuesday, the first thing I want you to do is when you wake up, I want you to double check your polling location. And you can do that at mvp.sos.ga.gov. I know you may be thinking, well, Jamil, I voted in the same place for, for the general. I voted in the same place for the last 5 or 10 years. Well, you may absolutely be right, but it's 2021, and we want to double check, even triple check things. And what we've seen is that because of many various reasons, there have been a number of polling locations that have had to change in a number of counties. So we want you to double check that. And again, you can go to mvp.sos.ga.gov. Everybody on election day is going to have an assigned precinct, and a assigned polling location. So you can only vote at that assigned precinct and or polling location. When you go, we want you to mask up, and we also want you to bring your ID. Now, what are the acceptable forms of ID? I'm going to run through that list for you. You can have a Georgia driver's license, even if it's expired, a valid state or federal government issued ID. You can have a valid employee ID from any branch, department, agency, or entity of the U.S. government or Georgia government. You can have a valid U.S. passport, a valid U.S. military photo ID, a valid tribal photo ID. If you're a student, you can have a student photo ID from a public college, university, or technical college.
Very important information, and we'll make sure it's on WJBF.com. Jamil, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it.
Anytime. I thank you so much as well.
No problem.